Hi, my name is Craig Evans, and welcome to another installment in the Autism Thought Leader series, where we're asking people to talk about themselves and give 5 minutes on some of their key learnings about autism. We're going to be talking to a number of people at the Answer Conference here in Minneapolis, and with me right now is Paul Johnson. Paul is a psychotherapist. I'll let him tell you a little bit more about himself. And Paul, I want to ask the first question, which is, can you tell us please a little bit about your background and what was your introduction to autism?
Well, I started off my life with the expectations that I had was neurotypical, and I thought of myself that way, and basically grew up in Brooklyn, New York City, and a family of 4, and just went through my life going that way. Studied psychology as an undergraduate at City College of New York, and decided to branch out and go to different parts of the country, and came to University of Minnesota, and began to have some experiences in the work world after I got my graduate degree in psychology, counseling psychology, and began to realize that my experiences were a little bit different, and some of the social problems and expectations that I was having and poor choices at work led to my diagnosis. And then I was seeing myself as a client as well as a therapist, and it was interesting that
How old were you when this happened?
This was when I was 46 years old.
Okay.
Basically about 3 years ago. And I began to see myself differently, and I realized that from that diagnosis that I was in a unique situation, that I had the background, the psychology, the training to understand things from perspective of as a scientist, and the book learning and everything else, and then I had the personal experiences of knowing that this is what my life is about, and from living the autism and so forth, and so I really think this unique perspective, this unique opportunity that I have is to begin to raise awareness and to talk from things, and maybe in fact confront some of the things that's been spoken about or shared about what life is like living with autistic spectrum disorder.
Well, I just heard your presentation, and you gave a marvelous description of the difference between what are called neurotypical values and autism spectrum disorder values. So obviously you're well qualified to speak on either side of the table.
Thank you.
What are you hoping to find or resolve for people or yourself?
Well, I'm a psychotherapist and in private practice, and have a modest practice. Most of the clients that I see are downtown Minneapolis, and sometimes I go out on home visits. Currently, I really would like to work at, I'm writing a book basically about my experiences. It's kind of a journal, but there's also something I was looking to think of as sort of a user manual of a person who's wanting to, loved ones of a person who's on a spectrum, for people to get an idea about what it would be like to work with us, and find out what our best, our most effective ways of living is. I have about a quarter of the people on my caseload are on the spectrum, and so I'm working with that and helping them to understand themselves better.
And now to the key learning question. If somebody asked you what would be the 3 greatest learnings that you've come across in your time, either having been a person with autism on the spectrum or a person that is working with people on the spectrum, what are your 3 key learnings?
One of the things I think it's important is to know that we're really creative people who think outside the box. We think about things that are possible, what are possible. And I was talking during the presentation about looking at as Asperger's or being on the spectrum is basically outside the box, and think about what are the things that is possible, more so than just conforming to the limitations the way life is already. So, and that's really key, and I think that's one of the key learnings that I had to come to a realization or discovery about myself and about people who are in that population, in our population. The second one that I think is kind of important is to think about how to not get angry when we're going to be misunderstood, and it's just going to happen. I used to think that back when I was first diagnosed, I used to think, okay, well, maybe I am and maybe I'm not, and then I just found myself being misperceived and misunderstood so often that the reactions that I have now is different. You know, there's this thing about, okay, well, you have problems, but your reaction to the problems can be so much worse, make things so much worse than it is. And I think that I'm at a point now where the second key learning is just realizing that I don't need to have a meltdown because somebody else is not understanding who I am. And that has given me some comfort in realizing that I don't need to be as distressed as I used to be.
Okay. And a third?
And the third one is just basically being kind of just looking at, beginning to realize that I think that this possibility that I was talking about earlier is similar to some of the quantum theory thoughts that's out there, and I think that it kind of gives us a unique perspective on looking at things with the possibilities and not to kind of be pigeonholed with some of the limitations that we have, but to have ideas that are much more expansive than that.
Okay, that's part of that theory of mind again.
Theory of mind, yeah. Mm-hmm.
We're fortunate to have Paul as one of the members of Autism Hangout. He has a homepage. His nickname is Morpheus, but he's posted some very, very interesting blogs. Key among them is one that's called the Mirror Theory. So I'd encourage you, after watching this video, to tune in. If you'd like to get more information on Paul, you can contact him off of Autism Hangout. There's contact information there. And is there any other place that you might tell people to go to see some of your learnings or learn more about your theories?
I don't have a website, but I'm working on one now, and so keeping my eyes open for it. It would be around my business called Remember Institute. Basically, it's my psychology that people need to remember who they are. And so the counseling that I do, or the lectures that I give and so forth, are all based upon remembering who we are. So it's going to be under Remember Institute when it's...
Well, I would hope that when that's finished that you would promote that on Autism Hangout, at least in the form of a blog, so viewers and readers could find more about it. Thank you, Paul.
Thanks.
And thank you for tuning in. This is Autism Hangout. My name is Craig Evans, and we'll be back with more thought leaders in this series. Thank you.